Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And what a strange morning we have for you today. As you can see, it is looking very grim. And for those of you that don't realise this, but Tuesday the 13th for Greeks is like Friday the 13th is for the Brits and the Americans. Today is always looked upon as an unlucky day. And to be honest, we've been to the vets this morning. We had to take one of our cats to the vets this morning. Nothing major, just have a little jab. He was all right. In fact, he's sat there now. That's Nipper, sat there now like a gargoyle on the rear balcony after his little visit to the vets this morning, bless him, and all is good. But today, the weather is not looking good at all. It'll be interesting to see what Amanda's weather forecast is going to be for today, especially after yesterday. Yesterday's weather was absolutely fantastic. It was glorious. I even took the scooter and had it washed yesterday. The weather was so nice. Anyway, I've just had the message from Amanda. Just quickly have a look at her message. She says, "Good morning, Ginge. A little cloudy today, a little." And she says, "And you may have some rain later. We have highs of 19 degrees, but it's going to feel like 24. Have a good day." I just hope it gets burned off, to be honest. But anyway, I took the bike yesterday for a good old clean. It was looking really nice, and it looks like, what a waste of time that was. Especially because I haven't got anywhere to park it undercover anymore at the moment, because the landlord's been busy doing all sorts of places. So anyway, there's the bike. It's looking clean today. It'll probably be looking horrible tomorrow, covered in fine sand from the Sahara. Right, let's crack on with the news then. There's been a lot going on in the last 24 hours. Most of it is all COVID related, I'll warn you now. But anyway, let's crack on. Let's give you the news of the day. Find out what's been happening here in Greece and also around the island of Zakynthos. Anyway, little lull there while I just switching the screen round. It's still slow turning round at the moment. That shows you what a slow day everything seems to be. Come on, switch round. Yes, we've switched round at last. Right then, let's have a look at the news for today. 13th of April, as I say, an unlucky day in Greece. Tuesday the 13th. Day 159 in the lockdown. Tomorrow it'll be 160. Anyway, just want to say to all those people in the UK that were out yesterday enjoying themselves because you're allowed into a pub, some of the pictures are absolutely awesome. I don't think anybody practiced social distancing in the UK yesterday. They were just glad to have a drink. We were talking to some people yesterday in the UK who were telling us there were people even going out to pubs a minute after midnight to have a drink just because they could. And I thought that was hysterical. And it was not the best of weathers either yesterday, just after midnight in the UK. But anyway, bless them. So you're back in the pubs. Unlike us, we're still out of them at the moment. Right, let's have a look at the COVID infection rate here in Greece then for the last 24 hours. Good news is it seems to be going down slightly. Yesterday I did report to you 1,718 new cases. Well, at the moment that figure has dropped down to 1,606 new cases across the country, bringing the grand total to 297,086 since the pandemic started. Now, cases identified in entry ports into the country, I'm afraid that number is up. Yesterday I reported there was only 3. Well, today there was 9 new cases identified at ports of entry into the country. And according to the national stats yesterday, there were no cases on Macardo. There was 1 case on Kefalonia. There were no cases on Corfu. And Zakynthos reported no cases as well on the national stats. However, local reports show that we had 13 cases. They were identified yesterday. And according to the official data that's been published, 3 cases were found after molecular testing was done at the hospital. 4 were located in Volymez by the mobile health unit that was doing testing up there. 2 also came from the results from private clinics on the island, while the rest were from rapid tests, but they haven't said where these rapid tests were from. Anyway, also as well, it seems we were asking about the sewage being checked here, because that is a good way to determine what the viral load is for the island. Well, it seems now that they have been doing checks of that, and they said in the press that for the image of Zakynthos, with a large number of cases, the controls that have been done so far in the sewage and the biological works actually agree. So it looks like our wastewater is also showing high viral load as well. So all in all, it's not looking good for our stats here on the island at the moment. And just to remind you, we are still in deep red at the moment here on Zakynthos, and we'll keep you posted as to what's going on in that location. So at the moment then, Zakynthos has had, by my scoring, 375 positive cases since the beginning of the year. And this month alone, we've had 91 cases for the month of April, and we are now into the 13th of April. So the highest load we had was in March, where we had 184 cases. In February, we had 70, and in January, we had 30. So again, we'll keep our eye on these stats and figures and see how we come out of it. Now, at the moment, as regards deaths, I'm afraid, across Greece are up as well. Yesterday, I did report to you that we'd had 52 deaths across Greece. Today, I can report then we have had 76 new deaths across the country. That brings the total death rate to 8,961. The average age of those people that are passing away is 79 years of age. 96% of those had underlying health issues or were over the age of 70, and the death rate in 2019 as an average death rate was around about 329. So again, we've had a bit of an increase in deaths within the last 24 hours. Luckily, Zakynthos has not had any increase in death rates or anything else like that. We did have one last week, an 88-year-old woman, and that was our first death in April. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that and just see how those figures hopefully will not change. Right, when it comes to critical cases are also up, but they're not up by much. Reported 780 the other day. Well, it's gone up to 781. 493 are male, 283 are female. Critical patients at the moment, average age is around about 67, and 83% of those have underlying health issues, are all over the age of 70 years of age. And Zakynthos at the moment, we've not had any feedback as to how many people are in the COVID clinic since the last report, where we had 12 people in the COVID clinic and 1 person being treated in the ICU. We're assuming that 1 person being treated in the ICU might have been the 88-year-old lady who passed away. But so far, the hospital has not released any further updates on that. Anyway, as of today's news, data released by the Greek government regarding the ongoing COVID-19 vaccination programme confirms to date that there's been 2,212,000 vaccinations have been carried out, with 1,468,000, that's 14%, citizens having their first dose, and 743,000, that's 7%, having both doses of the vaccine. Now, with the deliveries of existing vaccines increasing and new drugs such as the Johnson & Johnson coming on stream, the vaccination programme is gaining momentum. The Greek government has announced today further details of a schedule of COVID-19 vaccinations for the country. Now, from Friday, April the 16th to Monday, April the 19th, those aged between 18 and 59 years of age with underlying diseases will be able to arrange for appointments. So basically what they're saying, if you've got some health issue and you're between 18 and 59, you can arrange to get the vaccine if you want it. Now, the process, they say, will be staggered over the 4 days, dependent on the severity of the patient's underlying illnesses. So basically, the sicker you are, the quicker, obviously, you're going to get the jab. Anyway, from Wednesday, April the 21st, teachers and the 55 to 59 year group will be able to confirm an appointment as well. And from Saturday, April the 24th, those in the age range of 50 to 54, they will also be able to confirm appointments as well. It is planned that in June, those in the younger age groups with no underlying illnesses will also be added to the vaccination schedule as well. So it looks like Greece now is going all out for the vaccinations, especially with a summer tourism season actually heading towards us. Anyway, the US pharmaceutical company Johnson & Johnson commenced deliveries to the EU yesterday of their 1-dose COVID-19 vaccine. The EU contract with the company requires 55 million doses to be delivered to the EU by the end of June, with a further 120 million doses in the third quarter of the year. Also as well, one of the big stories which has caught my eye at the moment is the trial of the Sunweb holiday in Rhodes. Yep, that's right. I was telling you about this a few weeks ago. It seems 187 Dutch people turned up for their holiday, which has been endorsed by the Dutch government. This is a massive, big experiment that they're running on Rhodes. Now, the trial began yesterday to basically ascertain whether strictly managed holidays can go ahead in the near future. Now, the holidaymakers will be staying at a self-contained resort in Rhodes town and will not be allowed to leave the confines of the resort during their 8-day all-inclusive stay. And on their return to the Netherlands, they will have to quarantine for 10 days as well. This is basically a test that the Dutch are putting in place to see if they're going to allow people from the Netherlands to come here on holiday. I think actually it's slightly flawed what they're planning to do. If it was me personally, I would have run 2 tests. I'd have run one where people stayed in the all-inclusive for their 8 days, and I would run a second hotel where people could come in and out over the period of time, 8 days, and do a comparison between the two to get a much clearer picture as to how much of a threat the local population are as to people coming from abroad and having a holiday. Because again, at the end of the day, I would think it's going to be a bit of a gilded cage. 8 days in the same location, not being allowed out, not being allowed to explore the wonders of Rhodes. I know Jane was saying it's a lovely island. There's lots of things to see. Unless you are really someone who wants to lie around a pool all day, I think after 8 days, and also not being able to go out and try any of the food or local cuisines or go into a local bar, it is to be seen how successful this experiment will be. But again, we'll keep an eye on that story and we'll see where it leads. Anyway, US pharmaceutical giant Pfizer has commenced clinical trials of a pill-based COVID-19 antiviral drug. That began. Results of the drug's efficiency and safety are expected during the summer, and if all goes well, it should be available by next winter. Now, the drug is designed to be taken orally at the onset of the first symptoms of COVID-19 to prevent the spread of the virus in the body. Now, the laboratory-based testing has so far shown that it has a strong effect against the virus. So again, another new bit of treatment on the way, an orally taken vaccine, and we'll see what that does. And again, it's to be taken once you have it. So again, it's a lemsip, shall we say. But we'll wait and see. We'll keep an open mind on that and see how it goes. Also, interestingly, as we are expecting the Germans to be some of our first guests arriving when we start our holiday season here. It seems that COVID-19 infections in Germany have now passed the 3 million case load in total, with 13,245 being recorded yesterday, and a further 99 deaths from the virus also being confirmed as well. Calls are growing in the country for further restrictive measures to be imposed as the surge in the new infections shines no signs of abating. Also as well, Turkey confirmed official figures that 50,678 new cases and 237 patients died in the preceding 24 hours. So also Turkey at the moment seems to be having a bit of a resurgence. Now, there is some good news, actually, if you're wondering where all the good news is today. Well, there is some interesting news. I found this article yesterday online. The Bank of Greece governor, Yanis Storanis, said on Sunday that he sees Greece's economy actually growing by 4.8% in 2022. Now, he was talking on a television program. He said he estimates there'll be a 4.2% recovery in the Greek economy. Now, the Greek economy contracted by 8.2% last year, less than expected, despite much lower tourism revenues and tough restrictions on the Greek government imposed in containing the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, in the interview on Greek antenna and television, which aired on Sunday, he said that the bank's growth projections were uncertain as the pandemic still posed serious risks. However, Stranis said Greece's economy is expected to grow by an annual rate of about 3.5% in the current decade, thanks to the billions of euros from a recovery package agreed with EU leaders last year and other EU funds. Again, this is money, more debt, as far as I can see it, being piled on the country. Anyway, at a 3.5% growth rate in the decade is a very realistic target for me, he said, as long as we move fast. He also added that Greece would reform its state sector to be in a better position to absorb those funds. And when he say reform in state sector, I think that means getting rid of jobs, basically. But anyway, Greece is expected to get some 32 billion euros in grants and cheap loans from the European Union as a recovery fund in the coming years. While the country has fared better than many other European countries, a surge of COVID-19 infections forced the government in November to impose a lockdown it had previously lifted. Greece hopes that millions of free home testing kits, if it begins distributing this week, which it supposedly has, and ramping up the COVID-19 vaccinations, will help reopen its tourism sector next month and save that all-important summer season. Anyway, once again, it worries me that it's borrowing money. Greece has already borrowed money to the hilt. Be interesting to see what Yanis Varoufakis' reflection on this will be. I'll keep my eyes and ears open and see if the ex-finance minister and economist Yanis Varoufakis has any feelings towards this. But again, to me, it's the cronyism of staying in with the club. If you do what we say, we'll give you money to keep your economy afloat. And this is the reason why the EU will hang on to nations, because basically it's debt that's keeping them together. It's not about countries thinking, I might be better off on my own, where the UK has taken that step. So we'll wait and see how this plays out and if the predictions of the Bank of Greece are going to be correct or not. Anyway, and finally, a nice happy story for you. Yes, the ancient oak, the oak tree. Now, you think of the oak tree as being a very British thing. Walls of oak, the Royal Navy and their wooden ships. However, believe it or not, the oldest oak tree in Europe is, guess where? It's in Greece, that's right. And it's located basically 2 miles from the town square of Destaki, which is near Grenna. And they reckon it's about 1,300 years old, give or take 30 to 50 years. That's what the experts say. In fact, it's causing quite a stir, this oak tree, because obviously they've been doing research on it, because they obviously want to keep it healthy. And for a tree to be 1,300 years old, that is quite an incredible achievement. Anyway, Where does it fit in with Greek mythology? Well, believe it or not, the oak tree is sacred to Zeus, the king of the gods, and it was also used in the oracle. In Dona at Ephrus, there was a sacred oak there that was the telephone line to Zeus. And the priests would stand around the tree and they'd listen to the leaves rustling in the wind, and that would basically signal to them messages from Zeus, and they would pass those on to the people who've paid their money to go and hear what they want to hear. So anyway, it was also, believe it or not, is the acorns, the little cups that the acorns sit in, from which mighty oaks grow. Those little cups, believe it or not, were used in the tanning process in ancient Greek times. They would collect hundreds and thousands of those and bash them all down, and they would go into the big mix of urine and God knows what else to put hides in, and it would also add to the colour of the leather as well. Now, believe it or not, before pre-agrarian times, before obviously everybody started to move into farms and grow ground and stuff like that, it seems the acorn was a staple diet of quite a few of the tribes that wandered Greece at that time. However, later in classical times, the only time that you ate acorns was in times of famine, and normally the acorns were reserved for cattle to feed on so that they would not starve. So in fact, you could obviously still get milk from your cattle and still get meat if you decided to cull a cow or something and use the meat from that. So there you go. It seems that the mighty oak also has a connection to Greece as well. So stroll on the mighty oak. And again, you can go online and have a look at pictures of this oak tree, which is reportedly the oldest in Europe. Right, let's have a quick look, see who's tuning in this morning on this. You've probably all got hangovers this morning from being down the pub. Did anybody that's tuning in from the UK actually go to the pub yesterday? Let me know. Dave Matthews is watching. Nice to see you tuning in. Did you go to the pub? Pam Stott, I know you didn't go to the pub. Amanda Gregory, thank you for the weather forecast. Emma Marku is watching as well. Dave Matthews says, good morning. You must have gone to the pub yesterday, Dave. You're the sort of bloke that would do, I'm going because I can. Julie Meldrew is also watching as well. Amanda Gregory also watching. Alf Ling is watching. Alf, did you go to the pub yesterday? Heather Nash is watching as well. Did you go to the pub yesterday, Heather? Will Bland is watching. Now, Will must have gone to the pub yesterday. I could see him going to the pub. Yvonne Moreau says, morning, DJ Ginge. Sam Curtis is watching. Sam, did you go to the pub yesterday after work? That's all I want to know. Amanda Gregory says, feels like dull, nothing kind of day. Do you know what? I feel exactly the same. It's a weird day. It's a day for doing online administration, I think is the best word to describe it. Gail Marsden is looking in as well. Heather Nash, she says, good morning to you and Jane from a sunny Birmingham. You said it was snowing there the other day, and now you've got sun. There's an excuse to go to the pub if ever there was one, if you're not working, of course. Go and check it out. Wendy Norcliffe is watching. John Clifford says, free at last. Now, I can imagine John being in the pub after midnight, going there just because he can. Tracy Malone is watching as well. Good morning, and may I comment on what a splendid job you are doing. Well done, that man. Thank you there, Doppia. I do appreciate that. He's been drinking, obviously. There you go. Steve Hinkling says, Gallimera, frosty here this morning, but looks like it might be a nice day. Hope you have a good day. Did you get to the Hungry Horse, Steve? Because we were talking about this on Sunday when we were walking around standing underneath us time. Has the Hungry Horse reopened in Stoke near to where you live? And did you manage to go in there and have a pint? I really like to know. Nobody so far has been to the pub, all right? Unlike the press are reporting where every man and his dog was at the pub, my listeners are being more responsible. They're going to wait a few days when the novelty wears off. Anyway, Graham Indleston is also tuning in. Mr. Iggy from Beats Radio. Nice to have you looking in, sir. Morning, DJ Gingy says. Susie Angus is watching as well. Did you go down the pub yesterday, Susie? Frank Proud is also watching as well. Nice to have you looking in, Raffridge buddy. I wonder if he went to the pub yesterday. Chick Ballantyne is also tuning in. Yanni Tascos, well, I know you didn't go down the pub yesterday. There you go, fella. Phil Ellis is also watching as well. Tracy M. Mitchell is watching too. Also, Tracy Mitchell says, good morning to you. Have a lovely day. Thank you, my darling. Dave Cramp says, good morning, buddy. You are looking ruggedly good looking and Adonis-like this morning. Do you know what? I said exactly the same thing to Jane just before I came on. I happened to glance at myself in the mirror while I was washing my hands, and I thought to myself, do you know what, Ginge? You're actually looking pretty good this morning, and I'm glad that other people have picked up on that as well. That's made my day, that has. Anyway, Ray Humphreys is watching as well. He says, good morning, Ginge. Christine Woodridge is watching. Steve Hodgson is watching. Now, come on, Steve, you must have been down the pub. Have you been down the pub yet, or have you been too busy on shift? Let me know. He says, good morning, Ginge. Jamie Mackay Gunn is also looking in. Dave Matthews says, thinking about getting up, taking the wife to work at 6 this morning, now chilling back in bed. So you're not chilling in the pub open at the moment. He's obviously gone back to bed, bless him. And he can listen to my Dance Anthem show that at the moment is now uploaded onto Mixcloud. Mick Ling is watching. I know you've not been in a pub, mate. Graham is also says morning again. Catherine Ling is watching as well. Johnny Hayes. Hey, Johnny. Johnny, you must have gone to the pub. Have you gone to the pub yesterday? I'm waiting to hear from somebody that has gone to the pub. Steve Hodgson says, night shift. And Steve Hinckley says, pub lunch today. Good for you, Steve. Let me know what it was like having real pub food, not having to do any washing up. And also, are they practicing the social distancing? That's what made me laugh. Nobody could be bothered yesterday with social distancing. The pub landlords can't win either way. I feel sorry for them. There's lots of pictures, especially in the Daily Mail, but I think the Daily Mail are behind this, all right? So it's not all anti-lockdown. They all seem to be quite happy. So anyway, Jan Lawrence is watching as well. Give her as that. Tracy M. Mitchell, she says, no, I didn't, but I'd rather have a coffee. Good on you. At least you had a coffee. Did you have a coffee in Witherspoons? Okay, I love there all day. You can sit and drink coffee in there all day. You buy one and you get the rest free. Will those days stop? I don't know. Dave Matthews says, no pub, mate, because it's or not, I find them very expensive. You've been too used to buying it from the supermarket, mate. That's the problem. There's people out there who've got to make a living. And do you know what? English pubs are just an institution. People try and copy them abroad. They never quite work. But there's something about English pubs that they are an institution, and we shouldn't lose them, especially after what's been going on. I mean, Witherspoons is okay, but it's become a monopoly. I'd rather see the old little pub surviving. Anyway, Jamie Mackay Gunn says, I was delivering all around West Yorkshire yesterday. All the pubs were packed outside. Obviously, yeah, they were packed outside. Bless them. Somebody else has also said pub lunch today. Steve Hinckley, Hungry Horse, of course, he's going to be there. Pat Patel, me old Raffridge buddy, how are you doing? Have you been to the pub today, Pat? Or enjoying retirement life over there in Aylesbury? Dave Camp says, no pub for me, sticking with the home brew. The home brew. I remember we used to buy the kits from Boots. And when we were in Northern Ireland, we used to brew up our own home brew in the blocks, and we used to keep it basically until within about the last couple of weeks on operations, and then drink the lot dry. And then I always remember the parties in the block with the home brew. You get a supply made up, and then it was a good cheap afternoon, that was. Anyway, I brought back some memories there. Catherine Ling says, morning, Ginge. Christopher Joy says, still working for the beer chits, says Pat Patel. Oh, bless you. Anyway, listen, guys, I'm going to have to disappear away. Once again, I'll keep my ear to the ground, see what's going on. Let me know how you're finding it now with the lockdown restrictions that you're under being eased. Just remember, we're still locked down here at the moment in a very strict form of lockdown. We still have to book in and out with the police to go anywhere. If we get caught without a mask, it's a €300 fine. If we get caught without booking out, it's a €300 fine. However, we are allowed to have 3 adult people in a car now. at the weekend, not during the week. And at the weekend, we are allowed to drive away from our local area to exercise. But unfortunately, our bars, restaurants are still all shut down, and the shopping in the shops is restricted with kind of click and collect and all of that rubbish that goes on. So again, we live for the day when the restrictions are lifted from us and we're allowed to walk unfettered among the fields and pastures green that is Zakynthos at the moment. But at the moment we have to play by the game, not because we want to, but because we can't afford to, because we don't want to be paying lots of fines. But anyway, that's for another day. You take care. I'll keep my ear to the ground, and I'll see you here tomorrow. Oh, and don't forget, my show Dance Anthems is up online at the moment, and I'll be putting my Northern Soul show from Sunday up online a little bit later on today for you to enjoy. Anyway, you take care. Have a great day. Ta-ra!